Grace and peace. We are here live, ready to go. It's on and popping. Grown men talking. Listen, we ain't holding back. It's got to come out. You got to know. It's our job to make sure that you get the truth. We're out here saying what we need to say. We're going to say the right thing, and you're going to learn a whole lot tonight. Waiting for a few other brothers to jump in. I don't know where they are, but that's all right. We sent the APB out for them, and we want them dead or alive. We gonna bring them in here, handcuffs or not. They got to come on in because they got a right to remain silent. But tonight's gonna be good. We got brothers coming back from Africa, so from the motherland, going to tell us a little bit about that. But tonight we are talking about how to date and choose a mate. Listen, this is not going to be superficial. It's going to be deep and impactful. And when there's no holds bars, we're giving it all up. So please share, hit like. Ladies, listen, trigger warning. You know, there's some things that we're probably going to have to say that might rub you the wrong way, but I guarantee you, if you listen to us, you'll hear something that maybe your father didn't tell you. And they should have told you about men and how to, you know, not necessarily how to hunt them down, but at least how to make sure you can attract them and then keep them. Because sometimes, you know, we do a whole lot of work on getting them, but we struggle with keeping the brother. All right, and that's the important part. That's probably the hardest thing is to keep him. And so tonight we're going to talk a little bit about that. So listen, please hit the share like button. I know there's only a few of you in here tonight, but I know the numbers grow as we get into the night. But do me a favor, hit that like button, hit the share button, hit the hearts. If you're on Facebook, hit the hearts. If you're on Instagram, hit the share, all that good stuff. We are ready to get in here. All right, so listen, tonight we have Bishop Wilkinson. He's with us tonight. And we also have my dear brother Elion from Africa. God bless you, brothers. How y'all doing tonight?
Hey, I'm good, Apostle. How you doing, sir?
Fantastic, man. I'm highly favored, outstanding and improving. Looking forward to tonight's discussion. And I just wanted to say to all of you who are in here, please come on in. I want to first thank you, gentlemen, for coming in. I know a few of the brothers. I think the Pope is in. I know he's traveling. He's supposed to be traveling this week. So I don't know if he's in Africa. He's in Africa.
He's in Africa. Yeah.
Okay, so he's on a whole different time zone too. So was it 12 hours? What's the difference? Is it 12, 11 hours?
Like that.
It all depends on where you are on the continent.
He's in Kenya.
7 hours.
7 hours?
Yeah, I just left Kenya.
Yeah, I know. You was out there. I saw you petting the monkeys. I mean, the elephants. So yeah, how was the trip?
Amazing. I'm going back.
Yeah, I gotta go back, man. So when you got there, did you feel like you were home? Did you feel? Some people say that, you know, they get back like, damn, this feels like it's something familiar to your spirit, you know?
Absolutely.
Wow. Well, I'm glad you made it back, man. Thank you for coming on. When'd you get back?
Friday morning.
Okay, so any jet lag? You back on schedule or?
No, I'm not back on schedule, but I'm doing
good.
the best I can.
Okay. Bishop, how you doing, sir?
Yeah, I'm good, sir. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. I'm just trying to see if we can, I'm trying to see if we can get these numbers up. How was your week? How was the service? How was church, that whole bit?
Everything was good, man. Everything was well. No complaints.
Good. All right. So listen, man. Tonight this is a interesting topic. You know, and I believe that if we could shed some light on how to this is your topic. This is what you came up with. And so since it's yours, I want you to open up with it, man. I just like to try to get some more faces in here. I know that people watch from the outskirts.
Yeah.
And that's okay. We know we're not trying to put nobody on the spot.
Right.
But I think it might be helpful if if the folk come on in. I'm just saying. I think they might be able to learn something nice. So let's start with you, sir. Tell us about. Let's talk about this. How you want to open this up?
Well, one of the reasons why I thought about this topic, Apostle, because we had talked about divorce proofing, and we have talked about cheating, and I thought that we probably should go back to where the rubber hits the road, and that is to prevent some of those things. We should get into who we chose to be a mate with, and that starts with who we chose to date, who we chose to collect data with, and discover if they were the right fit. Because who you date is going to or why you date is going to be a determining factor in who you date. Some people are dating for intimacy. Some people are dating for marriage. Some people are dating for purpose. Some people are dating for spirituality. Of course, some younger people date for social acceptability and connection. So, why you're dating, again, is going to be a determining factor on who you date. And a lot, and if again, that's going to determine what you choose, who you choose, why.
Okay.
So
go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
Because I just think if you choose right, the other subjects that we talked about can be prevented just by your choices. In many cases,
So I like what you said about the various reasons why people date, right? Because I think it starts with that. Like, what are you looking for?
Right.
Are you looking for, and I want to say greetings to all of you who are coming in. God bless you. Thank you so much. Are you looking for companionship? Are you looking for marriage? So let me ask you this question. Should you have a specific reason? Should your dating be about marriage? I mean, should you date for any other reason than marriage? I mean, I know you can't. I know you can.
You're right.
Would you advise anybody to date for any other reason than marriage?
I mean, if you're looking for companionship, if you're looking for friendship, if you're looking for fellowship, if you're looking for some type of relationship, that could possibly be a way of establishing it and financing it. Again, if we are talking outside the boundaries of the Bible, because we were always taught if you're going to date, you should date to marry, to keep yourself from sinning, that kind of thing.
Do you not agree with that? Do you not agree with that? I mean, because I think, Bishop, I know we try to stay outside. We don't want to make it churchy, right? We're trying to be anti-churchy. Right.
No,
right?
I ain't anti-church.
Well, I'm just saying, it seems like we run away every time the church come up. We running away. We like ducking and hiding. My point is, and I see you all coming in. Thank you so much. My point is, I mean, because it's can we? Yes, but should, because you keep saying, are we looking for what you're looking for? What you're looking for? My point is like, okay, regardless of what you're looking for, what should you be looking for in dating? Right? Because we can dance around all, because people look for dating just to have sex. I mean, come on.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I said intimacy. Some people are looking to date just to find somebody they can be intimate with. Some people are dating.
But we're pastors. We're Christians.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so if someone walks up to us and say, hey, listen, man, I want to date, or should I be dating? Or should I be dating for anything other than marriage? Are we going to say to them, yeah, man, it's okay to date for sex?
No, I'm not going to say that.
That's what I'm saying. So my point to you is, what should they be if a person is entering into dating? I'm coming at you, man. What?
Come on, I'm with it.
What
I'm with
should
it.
we tell them if we are going to be advising people on why should they be dating?
I would tell them. I'm going to tell them. I always used to tell my young people, before you choose a mate, you should find out what you want to do and where you want to be in life, so you can find people that fit into that. Because some people choose on their now, and you start date people in your now, they can't evolve into where you're going in your future. So that would be a part of my discussion. What are you looking for? What do you plan on doing?
Mm-hmm.
What do you plan on being? What is your purpose? And if you know that and you're settled on that, now you can find somebody that can kind of complement you in that.
Okay. So let's just cut to it. Tonight we're talking about dating to choose a mate, right?
But why you date?
Or how, right? To date to choose a mate.
Yeah, why you date and how to date and choose a mate.
Okay. So, cause listen, I'm going to tell you where I'm at on this.
Come on.
I think if you're old enough, now if we're talking about adolescents and teen, okay, I'm not.
They
We're talking to
date
adults.
for a different reason.
We're talking about adults.
Mature adults. Yeah.
If I am advising someone, and Dr. Reverend, you can jump in here. If I'm advising someone, now this is just me, and maybe you can help me with this, because maybe I'm just narrow-minded. If I'm advising someone that's entering into dating, I'm telling them you should be dating to find or to vet your mate, right? Because dating is the beginning process. I'm saying, I won't say dating, oh, well, you're gonna marry a person. No, you're vetting. It's an interview, right? We go out a few times, we have some conversations, because I'm not out here just spending my time and money and energy on all these different people. I'm doing it. I have an agenda. My agenda is I'm trying to find me a wife, and it takes time to find a wife, right? And I would advise, listen, date with that in mind. Now, again, because that's the end goal. We're talking about.
But see, that's where we probably part ways, because I know grown saved adults.
Okay.
Where marriage is not the end all be all for them.
Well, should they be dating if it's not?
Listen.
Can't they just have friends?
Grown folk don't date well anyway.
Can't they just have friends like you talked about last week? You got all these friends.
Yeah, listen.
So
they could.
Dating is not friends. I'm not dating my friends. I'm friending my friends.
But sometimes friends hang out. If they have friends that they can hang out with.
Go on, Doc.
So friends have needs too, like, you know. So.
But you don't have to meet them.
I ain't gotta meet your needs.
But I'm saying
that ain't my responsibility.
No, we don't have to meet them, but if we encourage, because I mean, let's be real. Oftentimes we find ourselves friends with people that we have some level of attraction to, or they have some level of attraction to us. And so if we X them out of the dating zone to like build a life with, that connection is still there. So it's like to say, all right, let's just be friends. Y'all ever saw Brown Sugar?
No.
You ever saw? What about Love and Basketball? They were friends for a long time, but it was a lot of benefits to that friendship. So I'm saying I think it can get dangerous there. I'm not disagreeing. I just think it can get dangerous. What I will say though, if we're gonna talk, you know, the church talk, I guess we should be telling people to date, to marry. But
that's the church talk. You're right. That's the church talk.
But I also think that we've got to kind of push marriage back a little bit in the dating, because I think if we talk about how to date to choose a mate, I think that the church will have you quickly, quickly, 3 months of dating, you found your person, and then you find out 6-7 months later that person is a maniac and they're not right. And no, I'm serious. They
Right.
And that's my point. If we go strictly from the point of you date to be married, I know when I was coming up, if you dated somebody for a certain amount of time, you are approached with marriage being on the table now. Because again, they meant well. They wanted to prevent you from sinning. They wanted to prevent you from all those things, and some of that stuff end up happening anyway.
Well, can it be balanced, right? Okay, let me tell you what I mean by this. When I say balance, can it be so that you say, listen, what is your end goal? If your end goal eventually, if the end goal to your life is to find a mate, and like Doctor said here, we push that all the way back, right? You're not it. I have this in mind, right? This is not what I have in mind. So, because sometimes, you might start out dating somebody and they end up in the friend zone. Right. So, and of course you establish like, oh, okay, well, I'm a better friend to you than I can be a mate. Like, we may not be able to do that, but at least and that's what the process is. But you do know that I'm looking to marry at some point, but this is not it. And what I'm saying to you tonight is, I understand exactly what both of you gentlemen are saying, that if you make that the priority, then that becomes the goal, right? Because all you're doing now is trying to see if she's the one or not. And that's probably not the right approach. You follow what I'm saying? I think the approach should be getting to know the person, right? But that's where you're headed. But I'm not
trying to. That's where you would like it to head.
Okay, so let's talk about how that. Sorry, Doc.
So, if it's okay, if I could say something before we shift into even that, you had asked the question about how do we even keep them after we get them. So you date, and whatever you make the relationship whatever you want it to be, whether that's marriage or some people have long life partners, whatever that is, that's what they have, and so this getting to know theory is something that you have to continue to do. Even after you marry someone, be in a marriage for 30 years, exactly. and this is why the dating is so important, because they're evolving, they're changing, you're evolving, you're changing, and so that constant investment of intimacy. We taught gentlemen a few years ago, the word intimacy was into you I see, or into me you see. So we're getting into each other's personal space and really developing and learning each other. So I think that is one of the ways that we can keep somebody once we get them. But in terms of how the dating process goes, or how you want us to date, Pastor, what's your question on that? You were headed in a direction.
So my question is that how do we date, right? Because that's really what we're zeroing in on. We want to tell people how to date to choose a mate. So how do we begin? What's the mindset that we should have? And I want to pose this question to the audience. I wish I knew how to do like a poll. I let people cast polls. Yeah. I want to pose this question to the audience. Do you think, because we already talked about it, I want to kind of get your feedback. Do you think, and somebody put that in the chat, put that question I'm about to give to y'all. Do you think you should date for the purposes of marriage? Okay, now, so let's back up into how do we start that process? Like, what should be the mindset?
I think you should make that intention clear to anybody you're about to date or collect data from. Like, looking, I'm not looking to be casual. I'm not looking for any things of that nature. I'm looking to establish a long-term or a relationship that will lead to marriage. You should be upfront about that. They should have an understanding up front that that's where you're headed. That's first and foremost. if you're going to put your cards on the table when you're dating, you can ask somebody, well, what are you looking for where dating is concerned? Are you looking for somebody just close enough to be intimate with, or is marriage a part of your future?
Well, you know what? I want to step back. The first question is, who should you even give attention to for dating? Because I know we're talking about the mindset, but like help us with who should you be looking for? Like what should be that? What because we're in this. Listen, if I'm looking for a wife, and I know this is who I am. I'm an apostle, I'm a pastor, whatever. I'm looking for. I'm not going into a nightclub to find a wife.
Right. Obviously.
And if she's coming out the nightclub half drunk, she ain't the one.
She ain't the one. Or she shouldn't be.
I'm just telling you, because the lifestyles are different, right? We have totally different lifestyles.
Right.
So no matter how fine she is, no matter how much fun we have, we just don't think.
Right.
Let's say this. If she's high level, right? Like because some people are just out of your range, just out of your sphere, right? You out here, you making $60,000 a year, and she's Oprah Winfrey money. Those worlds don't collide, right? It's a whole different. You follow what I'm saying?
But where worlds don't collide, hearts might collide.
Okay, you're reaching. So my point is,
I'm just saying,
it worked for our sisters.
All purpose don't pay the same.
Well, I don't want to get off track. You know where I'm going, because I know that you're gonna go down this rabbit hole, and I ain't going. So
no, I ain't going. I'm telling you. Listen, I'm telling you from experience.
Well, I understand that's a possibility, but you know where I'm headed. You know my the point I'm trying to make. So who? Go ahead, Doc.
I think that this is really difficult, because oftentimes the people that we are really attracted to sometimes don't necessarily fit the vision of where we're going. And so it just might be possible. The little mama that's in the club coming out as you go on to work, coming out of the club as you go on to work, she might catch your eye, and that's okay. That's a natural thing. But what I think what has to happen is you have to have some type of integrity towards what you want to build as an individual. So before you start dating, the way I look at it is you have to look at where's Elian going? What does Elian want to achieve, and what does Elian want to accomplish? Now,
that's what I'm saying.
There's a lot of eye candy. Trust me. You see this lollipop? There's a lot of eye candy that's gonna look good every step of the way. However, there's in picking through the eye candy, the beautiful, the breathtaking women. There's nothing wrong with that. I love a beautiful woman, but you got to be careful for the ones that have the potential to destroy your destiny, to destroy your future, but also those headed in a different direction. Like we are growing, but the worst thing to do is to join yourself with somebody that you're growing apart from. So I want to live in California, and you want to live in China.
That's what I'm talking about.
And these are differences that we're both solid on. I know my future is in California. You know your future is in Kenya, in Africa. It's not it's not going to work. And so what happens, I think, is we in desperation, we get desperate because we don't want to be alone. We want that companionship, whether sexual, whether just conversation. We grown. Let's tell the truth. I know we say it's a lot of folks saved doing what. It's a lot of saved folk popping up pregnant. I'm just saying.
That's what I'm trying to say to college, because we've seen it. We've seen a generation of destiny detours,
right?
And destiny busters.
And so when we're talking, it's like when we're talking. So before you go on dates, you have just conversation to see, one, can this person even engage in a conversation beyond you're beautiful, beyond you sexy, beyond I find you attractive, etc. Like what are your thoughts on the most frequent or most current election. What's your thoughts on what's going on with that? So you're having conversation, and the conversation is supposed to lead up to a date at some point, coffee. So even with like how to date, we got people spending $300-$400 on the first day. You don't even know this person. Why are you investing like that?
Right, exactly.
You know, and so we got a lot of brothers that's like pick-me's, and they getting played. A lot of folks going out on dates for dinner. They don't even like you. They hungry, and so
they call them pick-me's.
They call them pick-me's. There's a few other names I'm not gonna say on here, but there's a few names.
Oh, so help us on what's a pick-me? Let's be clear. I just want to go out to dinner.
No, well, a pick-me is a person that will do anything to get like a woman's approval, right? Or vice versa, or a man's approval. So that's the brother that's like, I don't care what happened, you know, she right. And it's like, wait, no, that's not healthy. You healthy is if somebody's wrong, you hold them accountable for that wrong. You call it out, you grow, but we don't have that today. It's, you know, whatever gets me the most attention from the opposite sex, I'm gonna say that, I'm gonna do that, almost like a sellout. Can you just give me 1 second? I'm getting an important call. I'm so sorry. I'll be right back.
Sure. So Bishop, elaborate. Let's go out, because I like where he was going with that. And the reality is, and he was saying you should, I guess, pay attention. This is what I'm kind of thinking. You have to first know what you want.
This is what I'm saying. You need to know what your purpose is, what direction you're headed in, where you see yourself going, things that interest you, things that light a spark in you, that energize you. You have general conversation that can evolve into certain things. And that's the point where if you don't feel a certain energy, then you cut it off and you don't waste time. Exactly what I was saying in the beginning. Why you date is going to be a determining factor in who you date. You know what I'm saying? If you dating for marriage, your approach to dating is going to have a different criteria. If you dating for intimacy, you may just be about looks. If you dating for spirituality, you may just date somebody because they go to church. If you dating for purpose, you want somebody that can align and complement you in purpose. Now, all of these should connect at some point because you're going to evolve. People are fluid, they change. And when you find somebody that can evolve with you in these things, that may be a person that you want to go forward with and have that dinner with and start to explore things on a deeper level.
So am I missing something? Because help me out with this. I understand, and I guess my problem is maybe I'm legalistic. Maybe I'm the guy who's like, you shouldn't do it if you're not doing it for this reason. And maybe I'm locked into that. And I think
you are.
No.
Okay.
I don't think that's wrong. I don't think that's wrong at all. I think though you've got to do it, and you've got to do it with multiple people to solidify that this is the person. Like you have to have something to compare it to. So I'm not against people saying, "Oh, well, I'm talking to this person and this person," because what you're looking for is the flags that you can't handle. The things about a person that, I don't care what happened, I can stay through that. I can if she never changed her attitude, if she never changed her perspective on life, I can stay through that. But you've got to compare that to, so you ever go car shopping and then you like, oh, this is the best car I ever saw. That's the first one on the lot. Then you look at oh, well, this one actually fits me better. This one fits my life. And so I think we've got to hold in mind, the first thing is that we're choosing our mates. And I know we love to say God chooses, but I think we choose. And so if we're going to choose, that means we've got to explore. And I'm not saying have sex with everybody. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying really explore, get to know, every person that's here. The ones that lie dormant when they get upset, when they get angry. So yes, if you're going to date, and by dating, I think what your definition is, if you're going to be committed to someone with an intention to marry.
Okay.
Right.
Yep.
That means that we've gone through the motion. So we've gone from me having several friends to now it's just you, right? And we are committed. We're trying to see right now if we can make life work as it is. We don't live with each other. Some people don't. We don't live with each other. Our accounts are not connected, but there's a level of commitment that from time to time, I'm checking in on you, you checking in on me. We're spending a lot of time with each other because we want to see if we can even make it to the altar, or to City Hall, wherever that may be. And so I don't think that's wrong at all, Pastor. I just hope that as we're saying that, we're also encouraging brothers and sisters before they make such a commitment to explore the world. The world is bigger than just our town. It's bigger than just our city. And see, you might not even be attracted to your spouse. That may just be the only thing you know, right? And so that opens the door to feelings of wanting to cheat or feelings of wanting to be unfaithful later on down the line, because you feel like you were shortchanged. Sometimes we pick too fast. And if we look at marriage for what it is, we have a lifetime to grow together. So there's no reason to rush into anything if we really believe we have the rest of our lives to, to grow together. If sex is your end all be all, you got 20 years to do it. Until death do you part. So take your time.
That's real good, man. That's good. That's really good, brother. So, and I'm glad you put that in perspective, because I think sometimes, and my wife has got a question up here. She said, would you tell the other women you're dating that you are dating other women? Right?
Yes.
Because I think now, let me ask you this question, because I think a lot of times some people in our culture are not comfortable with that. Right? I mean, that's something that, I mean, y'all know what I'm talking about, right? Because then they talking about he just with a bunch of women, and I don't know. I also think that may depend on the stage where you are in your life, right?
Yeah, because y'all sound like you gotta evolve to get to the point where the doctor's talking about that ain't a first date thing. You understand what I'm saying? That's somebody you've been talking to for a moment, and then the relationship has evolved to the place, okay, let's go out, let's get to know each other. That's not your first approach. That's deep to me. If I'm meeting somebody for the first time and we already on level 10, the first time is conversation to see if there's an interest level. And if it's going to go beyond this point, that's when other things start to unfold, and you can determine if this is going to lead to something else or there are possibilities there, but not the first time you meet somebody.
So I think when we start talking about how do you date to choose, I think I love the way we're going with this, because now what we're doing is that we are saying, listen, be transparent. Well, first of all, be clear as to who you are and what you're doing. Right? Be clear about what you're trying to do, what's your end goal, and know where you are and what stage you are in your life. So the person has to be whole, right? You got to be whole. You got to be complete. You got to be clear about your, like you said before. I mean, I know what my life is. I mean, I'm going to go to Africa, right? So if you know I'm going to Africa, I can't date you if you're in California, to use Elion's example, right? So yeah, I'm clear, and I'm not going to Africa. I'm not going to California. That's not happening. So I know you are not the one, because like the desperation kicks in. People start altering their plans, and later on only find themselves frustrated because it's not what they thought, right? Or not what they expected, because now all you're doing is you're in desperation mode.
Right.
So I love that. I think that's a good premise to start with. Let's see what, and I want to, is this a question that she had?
No, she said, I want the person I date to be my friend first. Every man I dated was never my friend. and we ended up in divorce court, I need to be friends. I can't read the last part. I
Yes,
don't have my reader.
I need to be friends first. It's a must for me now. And that becomes out of, thank you, Maria, for that. That becomes experience.
Exactly.
Right? Because she's done it the wrong way. And I think kind of, and I'm not just kind of ad-libbing, but maybe out of desperation or maybe just with the intention of just getting married. And then you kind of make this person fit into that area, and then you start compromising, right?
Right.
You got these negotiables that you like, I won't do that, but then you start doing that. Then they start fitting it, right? That's where that desperation comes in. So the first thing that I would think, one of the first things is, don't be desperate. And my brother Elion said, you got a lifetime. What are you rushing for? Why are you rushing into this? Go ahead, Pastor.
I am standing solid on don't be desperate. I just want to play devil's advocate for a moment. Is it always desperate if we begin to realize that some of our expectations are not realistic? I think some people are single because they might have
oh wow, okay.
You got solid people, solid good people that they just might not be Prince Charming, coming in on this horse to save you from all of your troubles, etc. So I don't know if that's desperation or not, but and if it is desperation, if that's what you see it as, then maybe you shouldn't change your standard. But just something I would think about.
Well,
I don't know if that's desperation. I think some people start to compromise, and you should know. You should have at least know a few things that you cannot compromise. You should have some solid footing that you stand on to say that if this is an issue, this is not going to work for me. As you said, for one, if I know I want to end up in Africa and you want to be in California, what if that person meets every other criteria you have? Then what do you do?
Well, you have to have a list, right? Yeah, I mean, you have to have a list.
This is what I'm saying. You have once you check the box, right? Once they can't check a certain box, then you know that doesn't work. So if this person
I'm asking.
If this person checked every box except the fact that they don't want to go to Africa, what do you do then?
Well, it depends on where that priority is on that list for you.
And again, this is you choosing. So you're looking at the list, and what you're seeing is what can you deal with, not for a few months, not for a few months, but what
for
life, exactly. The rest of your life.
If this never changes,
if on your list it is, I need her to be beautiful without makeup at 7 a.m. in the morning. Now listen, that might not be something you can check off, but can you deal with it on your list? I need her to be honest, integral. You might be okay with her being, a little white lie every now and then, but that don't change. When you get married, them little white lies, they multiply. It's like, yo, babe, the sky is purple. For no reason, we just lying today. You gotta you gotta be able to deal with that. You gotta be able to deal with crazy in-laws. Like these are things you really gotta. So you might have 5 things on the list, and you like, you know what? 3 of them, I could deal with. The other 2, I'm okay that she don't meet that qualification. It's just like with a job. They say, okay, we prefer someone with a PhD. We prefer someone with a master's degree, but it's not necessarily required. And so you got to look at the list, but make it realistic. Goals have to be both attainable, accessible, and achievable. So, can this person in today's society, just starting out, if you have kids, provide for me and my kids and I not have to work? That might not be a reality when you first meet them coming in. But if you see potential and you can see that they have the spirit of a go-getter, the spirit of a grinder, that might be somebody you can build with. You might have to combine You know, if you good with secretarial work, but if they're good at actual business execution, y'all might be sitting on a gold mine. But you sometimes, again, we can be a little strong in what we want, and also, and what I mean by being strong in what we want is every person has a list, and so you might not be meeting all 10 of their checks either. It's a two-way interview. It's a two-way interview. So yeah, I make good money. I look good, right? But I'm bullheaded. Mama, you ain't never getting dreads out of me. So you need to know that. Like, you ain't never.
So I think you have to, and I like what you said. I'm gonna deal with Jade's because she really kind of spelled it out. Jade had a really good point that she raised. I'm gonna put it back on the screen in a few seconds. But I think what you're alluding to is in that list of things that you can compromise on, because you have your must-haves, like to haves, right? And be nice to have, right? Because I think that's where it has to be. So, and if you are a person who knows that, because again, there's some things I know I can't produce, right? Like, I know I'm not going to do that, and I don't want anyone that wants that from me, because I'm not giving them that.
Right. You don't want that pressure.
Yeah,
you don't want that
pressure. I'm just not doing that. And so I think that you have to know that. You have to be clear as to what you bring. Now, I liked y'all read Jade's question. I want to read this. She says, well, I think my issue is when I date, I'm always told that they are not needed. They want to feel needed as a man. My level of expectation is high. Am I supposed to lower my standards? Am just strong level? Is that the problem? So I kind of, Jay, you can type in and see if I got this wrong, but you're saying that the men that you date, you tend to like, I'm independent, I can carry my own. I don't really need you like that. Is that what she's saying? Is that how? Am I reading that right, gentlemen?
I mean, that's what it's. She's being told that the men that she dates don't feel that as needed by her as they would like to feel. That's what I'm gauging, and that could be true. And the hidden factor behind that is men want to feel necessary. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be in the life of a woman that they're not necessary and they're not needed. So that could be a factor on why you may be struggling to meet certain people. Just like women want to feel necessary and needed on some level. Now you don't want to be smothered, but you want to feel like you're a necessary part of somebody's life, and that you're an important part.
Sorry, I'm sorry, Bishop. I didn't mean to.
No, go ahead.
There's a saying that says, "Be careful how you treat people you think you don't need." And the reason why is there's a level of respect that you give them. When you think you need, if I need a check from one of y'all, I'm going to respect you, treat you good, because I need that check right, and I need it right away. And I think where it comes down to men, it's less about wanting to feel needed and more about the respect that comes with a man that you depend on. I don't want to be your father. I don't want to be your father. I don't want to raise you. Even in terms of providing, I love to give. I love to provide. I love to do. But I don't want that to be the only thing you see in me. Is that I can take you on a vacation, etc. But the respect that you give me because of how I value you, or how you let me value you, in terms of when you have a husband that's well able to do certain things, it's something you just don't have to do. You don't have to cut grass. You just, now that might be different for each household. I want to be very careful of what I'm saying, but there's a level of integrity that we as men put into our workship, our craftship, that the woman understands no matter what she can do, she doesn't have to do. And so I have need of you, just like with how we look at our relationship with God. He doesn't need us, but he has need of us. So he can use us, and there's a level of respect that goes there. And I think that as a man, I can say this firsthand. Once I feel that you don't respect me, that's the beginning of my exit. I'm not going to prove my value to you. That's not the time, brothers. That's not time for you to start buying more gifts. That's not time for you to take her on more dates.
That's a mistake.
Not time for you to take her on more vacations. That's time for you to get out, because she's found something else to respect. And so you need to understand that the loyalty and commitment in that area may be decreasing. Now, to the sister's point, I think what the gentlemen are saying is that in a relationship, a man have to feel like a man. You can make $1 million a year, and his only duty may be to pay the light bills in the marriage, but he has so much joy in that, because that's what he can contribute. That's what he can give. That's what he can do. That's what he can bring structure in, and so he has to feel like that. And I'm not saying lower your standard. I'm saying that we should really look at our standards and make sure that they are achievable. You might have standards for someone that's in high school, but the person you're dealing with might be in the 3rd or 4th grade. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but you have to ask yourself, do I stay here? Do I elevate? Can I accept this? All right. My list might need to change for the person that I am actively pursuing, but also who's actively pursuing me. Another thing I think on this subject is that we are prone to go after what's not chasing us, and so we find ourselves having to do jump over several loops that's just not necessary. When a woman is attracted to a man and a man is attracted to a woman, it's not that difficult. It's not that difficult. She ain't gonna wait 3 weeks to text you back. It don't exist. When she wants your attention, when you want hers, it flows naturally. And so I'm gonna pause there.
Well, so I think, and I agree with what you said. I think that when Jade is talking in this is kind of things that I think about. I think about the fact that if you have been in a situation where you've been let down so much, you create this this world that, first of all, I'm not going to depend on anyone no more, because the last guy let me down. I've been let down so many times. So you know what? I'm going to make sure I can isolate myself so that I don't need you, right? And I put that up, and sometimes people think that's attractive. Right, but for a man, it is not attractive. It is I'm talking about a real man. I'm talking about a guy who's just trying to get over, or a guy who's just trying to get by, or who's just trying to get away with doing the least he can do. Because sometimes with that mindset, you actually attract that guy who don't have nothing to give, because you got everything you need. So he ain't even coming in looking to where can I fit. The other thing I thought about was, you tend to close doors with your independence, right? There's no access. So, and I've experienced this, and I didn't realize I was experiencing this when I was experiencing it. Because you think a person's independent, right? She's independent, she can hold her own, and you're like, okay, that's great, because now I don't really have to do a whole lot. But what I didn't realize is that in that independence, there's no room for me. There's nowhere for me to fit. So it's like a glass of water, right? It's like you put your finger in a glass of water, the water will make room for you. But when you take that out, it act like you were never there, right? And so what I'm saying is, oftentimes we create these difficulties by trying to guard ourselves from not allowing anyone to come in. Because again, if I relinquish this power over to you and you let me down, I'm back where I started. So I don't want to give you that power. So guess what? I got my bills, I got my baby, I got my house, I got my I got and we can hang out if you want to hang out, but I don't really care if you don't hang out. I'm not gonna call you for nothing. I got a flat tire. You had a flat tire? Yeah. I called AAA. They handled it. I'm home. Everything's good. You didn't even think about calling the man. You didn't think about, right? You didn't even consider the fact that, you know, he wanted to be the guy. I bought a new car today. You just went and bought a new car. Wow. Okay. Well, I would like, you know, what kind of car did you buy? Did you get beat? Like, even just a consideration, right? And so that independence becomes a problem. And I think that's another part of this question that I want to address, because I think that's exactly what you were saying. I just kind of broke it down a little simpler, I think.
Yeah, and to kind of add to that, I think sometimes it can be a little, for some men, it can be a little too masculine. It can just be a little too, like, especially with the car thing. You know, you got the car, you didn't get beat. You know how to change the tire. You change the tire. You take the trash out. You clean the hedges around the house. It's like, well, wait now. What do you need me for? What can I bring? How can I make your life easier? And to be honest with you, that's one thing. A real man, a real man is going to try in some way to make your life easier. And it may be difficult, sisters, especially if you've been hurt, if you've been let down, to even trust again. And for those of you who are trying, I applaud you. That's not an easy thing. And oftentimes what Apostle and what Miss J had talked about, that's a trauma response. I've got to do this because that's the only way I can protect my heart. I can protect me. But in doing so, sometimes we limit our options, and you know, that's okay. If that's who you are, that's who you are. But just know sometimes that may be a bit much for other pursuits.
You know what's interesting, and I want to kind of make sure we stay on track. But one of the things that I realized, and I'm just going to give just my experience. Before I got married, I did everything. Cook, clean my house, and I just did everything. I had everything done. Didn't need anything from anybody. I could do all of it, right? Only thing I couldn't do, well, anyway. So, but ain't going down that road. Anyway, so you all right, Bishop? So anyway,
yeah, I've been dealing with. I got allergies, man. They've been kicking my butt.
So my point is, when I got married. And I married a wife, right? Now, a wife moves different, right? Moves different. So she's already looking around like, what do I do, right? So she's like, okay, I didn't have to say, hey, babe, can you do laundry? Nope, she had it already. Hey, babe, can you cook? Nope, she had it already. Hey, babe, can you make? Nope. She already started jumping in to the areas that wives jump in, and it was so easy because what I had to come away with, and this is a conscious effort, a conscious thought. I had to say, whatever, don't put any rules, because she moved into my space. Wherever she wants, let her. Don't make her feel like she's a visitor or she's a roommate or she's just come. I had to. It took. Because I'm very structured. I'm very organized. I got this here, and I put it back. I got all my stuff where it belongs, and I had to be very careful on how I did that because I did not want her to feel like she was intruding. Because I'm very territorial too, right? So I had to make that conscious effort. Say, okay, whatever. And that is something you have to be aware of, because if you're not aware of that, you're just moving in your own space. And so I wanted to throw that out there too, because you're going to have to find big room.
You were able to concede some things, and that's what happens. There's an old saying: if you want a man to man up, sometimes women have to man down, and that often happens sometimes when you've been independent. Again, that's based on experience factors and all those things. You build these boundaries and you build these mechanisms in your life that don't often invite a certain respect level in that men thrive in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because we talked about this in the marriage segment a couple of segments ago. Men find love and respect. Women find respect in love. And so we are big on respect. We are big on feeling valued. We are big on feeling needed. And if you make me feel that I'm not, we're going to back away. But you, colleague or apostle, were able to do something that a lot of women don't do. When they came into your space, you were willing to concede some things to her that you knew how to do, but a woman came in your space and took those things over, and you let her have it. Sometimes women have difficulty doing that. Well, I've been buying my own cars. I've been doing my own thing. And they meet a man that will do those things, but you won't concede those things and allow the thing to evolve like that. And it creates a chasm right then and there.
Yeah.
And and when you experience a person like that, you know, unless they change, unless they evolve, there's not going to be much of a future there. If that's a person you're dating and that chasm is not closed, it's going to be very problematic.
You know what I like about what you said too, because I think sometimes when we hear respect, I think I guess maybe that's me, but when I hear respect, I always feel like the whole big downing yourself and let somebody else be on top. And I think we got to clear that up, because respect is also consideration.
Yeah.
For who I am in your life.
That's right.
Right? Because I think that has to be kind of stressed. Like, respect is not, well, you know, don't talk over me or don't do something without my permission. No. It's the consideration that I am in your life. Respect that I am present.
That I'm in your life, but I'm a part of you.
Exactly.
So how you handle you is how you handle me. Okay, perfect example. You all remember it was a famous thing. Keke Palmer went out one night, and her fiance at the time had a big problem with the clothing that she was wearing, and she couldn't understand why it was, you know, so problematic for him.
Is that the one where Usher fed her to Cherry? I would have had a problem with that too. Come on.
So, but I'm saying that, but here's the thing. There's a level of respect that she was due to herself first. That says I don't have to show everything. Then that says, okay, I'm engaged. I'm to be wed. I belong to someone. Someone belongs to me. I know we don't like that language, but it is what it is. I belong to somebody. Somebody belongs. It's not controlling. It's not possessive. But I have a situation, and so when real respect is present, you don't have to call people out on stuff like that. You don't have to say nothing. In the store, they know that that's too tight. In the store, before they buy it, they know it's revealing. They know what type of attention it's going to bring on. And it's not a man's job. It's not, just like it's not a woman's job to tell a man what's inappropriate. When you have enough respect, if you know, if you don't want to see the other person in something like that getting that attention, you're not gonna do it. It's not that complicated. So I think it's not about me saying that I know that the teachings of the church, the man is above a woman, and I believe that scripturally, but in a manner that says he's only the front line to protect her. Not to control her. He's front line to the first attack at the household have to hit the man. Not saying she can't talk, she don't have a voice. No, I don't play those games. But in order for that structure to maintain, we've got to understand what that looks like, and that's a house that is really a happy woman can make a house, but a hurt woman can break one. A happy man can get if you make a man happy, he might not know how to build the house, but he know how to pay for one. He'll get the job done.
He'll build one.
Right. But if you hurt him, he'll take them same resources and go build somebody else's house.
Yeah.
So it's about really learning each other, learning yourself,
Mhm.
and how you, if we believe that the woman came out of the rib of a man, if we believe that, then there's a connectivity to the husband and wife that we can't deny. And so as you learn yourself, you learn your spouse, you learn yourself for this season, you learn your spouse for that season, whoever you're dating for that season. And there's just a level of respect that you're due, that you
Mhm.
demand. You're not a child. You shouldn't be talked to like a child, male and female. I know we have this saying of correcting men for how we come off at the mouth, but sometimes these women can talk below the belt. And so there's just a level of respect. It's honoring each other, honoring each other. And I think that's imperative.
So what I like about one of the things that I abstracted from what you were saying was know your core values, right? Because I think we talked about that before. Like once you know what you value, right? Know what you respect. If you respect a man to hold his own and to be, sober, whatever that is, you got to know that. You expect a man to know his God, then, and know what you respect. Because I think what happens sometimes, we tend to try to respect, we tend to try to value what we think everybody else values. But we all have an individual value system, right? That things, it's how you were raised, is what you saw coming up, right? If you value how your grandfather treated your grandmother, like a certain way, you value that. That's something that you like. Oh wow, because that's basically your culture.
And when you and Apostle, when you're dating, when you're choosing to date, though, that's the point. You got to be honest about those things you value, and not necessarily try to slip into today's time. If you have old-fashioned values,
that's fine.
then you got to be honest about that.
That's right.
And upfront. If you think the man should always pay for everything and whatever the case may be, hold doors, whatever your old-fashioned values may be, if that's what you adhere to that. Now, you may not have a larger pool. It doesn't mean a dating pool for you but it doesn't mean a dating pool for you does not exist.
It's true.
So you gotta. This is what I'm talking about in the beginning stages of knowing why you're dating. Are you dating for marriage? Are you dating for purpose? Are you dating for intimacy? You got to be honest about that. See, sometimes we're just not very clear and honest about why we're doing what we're doing. And we get caught up in modernism and all this way of thinking to try to fit in a box. No.
Honest
just
with
be
who?
clear. You got to be honest with you and honest in your intentions toward the person you're looking to invite to exchange data with. There's got to be a level of honesty of why are we transacting like this and where do we hope this is going to go.
Right. So I believe First Lady asked the question earlier about are we honest and even telling whoever we're talking to that we're talking to other people? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Are you cool with them talking to other people? And until we reach an exclusive agreement that it's just me and you in this fight, I expect you. I expect you to be. If you crazy, if you're not, because I'm telling you now, I'm exploring every option. So you need to be doing the same thing.
But here's the catch though. Being honest that you see in other people, and some people might be into being intimate with other people. Now, does that come out too?
It needs to.
It needs to.
So
absolutely.
This is where we go into the having standards and lowering, etc. And this is where I hope we don't lower our standards. Pastor Bishop, you just talked about how the dating pool may shrink based on what we say. It's supposed to.
That's right.
Absolutely.
It got
Absolutely.
to. And so when if we're gonna go the churchy route for just a second, I hate to bring the damn
so, why you sound so dreadful? All right. We gotta go
because what I'm gonna say is gonna sound boring. But if you know it's important to you that every Wednesday night you in Bible study, And the persons that you talk to, like, yeah, that's never gonna happen to me. The moment you say, like, yeah, okay, I guess I can live with that.
No, you don't compromise.
But the reason why one would be compromised is because they're trying to keep that person of interest available.
I'm not
okay.
compromising.
It's okay to see someone in the dating pool. They're attractive, they're beautiful, but they're just not for you. That's
Absolutely.
fine. That's fine, because what happens in 15 years, you like Johnny, you still won't come to Bible study. Johnny told you 20 years ago he was never going to change. He meant that. The Bible says, sanctify wife, sanctify her husband for a reason, because he don't want to be. So
and you gotta learn how to block out the noise from people telling you, oh, she's fine. How you let that go? It don't fit my criteria.
Now, Bishop,
I'm not compromising that.
I chased a lot of fine things, and
this is what I'm saying.
I found it out. You're not wrong. The more you chase, you find yourself. Oh, this is free. I should get an offering for what I'm about to say.
If it's that good, I'll cash out you. Come on.
You find yourself. So dating is a journey. And what happens is on the journey, you find that you lose a piece of you. You lose a piece of your identity. And oftentimes the things that people find most attractive about you are the things you lose about yourself when you're chasing the wrong thing. People like that you were a sober-minded person and now you're a drunk. People like the fact that, you had a level of self-respect and now the community. Right, and now the community has no respect for your name. People love that when you entered into the room, you demanded respect. Like your aura did that, and now that's no longer there. So it's really important that when something is getting away from you, let it, because it's only getting away so that what's supposed to be in your peripheral view, you can pay attention to what's supposed to be there. Those beautiful things, man. And I'm not telling nobody to settle for something that they're not attracted to. I'm not saying that at all. But there are some things that it's like, oh, I gotta get that Rihanna. I gotta get that Rihanna. Read the book of Proverbs. It talks about how a man will lose his soul chasing after the wrong woman. One scripture says that the doorway to her house is the entry point of hell. It's right there. It's in the Bible. Yeah. The doorway to her house is the entry point of hell. That means not just a spiritual thing, but you're gonna suffer with this woman. She's beautiful, and if she's already bringing you out of your character, making you do things. Look at Solomon. Look at these men that try different drugs because of a woman. Vice versa, a woman that tried different drugs because of a woman that said she would never sell her body or would never partake in the threesome, etc. But because this person wants it so bad, you like, I gotta do this or I'll lose them. Okay, what's so wrong with losing them but keeping you? You are the prize. If you lose your prize, if you lose that, what do you have? You don't have nothing.
And that's what has to happen. That you gotta know if we're gonna wax spiritual, then you gotta understand what your spiritual stance is. Mm-hmm. And anything that starts to make you compromise that cannot be something that you consider. We're pastors. Mm-hmm. There's a certain level of things that we have to consider in choosing a mate. Yeah. You just can't block it out or it's going to be very, very problematic.
Yeah. And let me tell you something. I put one of the things that I vowed I would not do. And it goes to kind of what Jade was saying here and also what Kimberly Marie was saying. I will not marry a couple if they were unequally yoked. What I mean by that is if one is in the church and one is not, I will not marry them. I would marry two people who are not in the church and two people who are. I just would not do that because I know that doesn't mean that couple won't work. No, I've seen it. I've seen those couples work, but the chances are much more likely that they will not work. Because they're just not on the same page. There's so many, and again, I'm telling you, I've seen, and again, I'm not saying it won't work. I just won't be a part of that.
But
Because
what happens when we make that statement, and I'm agreeing with you, but what happens when we make that statement is we encourage this facade. So Vanderpool is here. I love Dr. Vanderpool. I'm sorry. When we make that statement, we encourage people to put up this facade. So then 6 months he'll come to church. Six months she'll come to church. But
I've
what
seen
happens after that is they morph into who they are. In the dating pool, this is so important that we encourage people, because we're already putting our best foot forward, and that's so deceptive. It's not fair. We really should encourage people to be you, whatever that looks like. Be you, because that's what the person is signing up for. And if they're okay with you not coming to church, I'm not saying you're wrong, Bishop, but I'm saying if I were to counsel a couple and I see that they're equally yoked, I would give them my honest feedback and say, listen, this is going to be a problem one day. That's going to be a problem one day. But I see Miss Chris saying you can't change nobody. Mm-hmm. You can't. But they'll fake the funk to get what they want. If he really
I've lived through. I'm older than you guys, so I've lived through that generation of the church. Mm-hmm. Even as a young man, I saw a lot of couples get married because their husbands came to church to get these women, and then later on, most of these couples divorced. Mm-hmm. For that very reason, because they only came to present a representative that could get them what they wanted from the woman and make them acceptable to the people that woman respected, that would encourage them to choose that man. Mm. So I've lived through that. I've seen that. And this is why we live in a season now that people really have to be honest and put things on the table about what you're willing and not willing to deal with, what you're willing and not willing to accept. Be who you're going to be. Mm-hmm. And if spirituality is important to you and your relationship with God is important to you, then you got to be convicted enough to walk in that, even if you have to walk alone. Mm-hmm. Until you find somebody that matches your criteria. Because when you start letting your guard down and compromising, it's not going to end well.
Can I ask a question though?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So let's say you have this stance, right? Mm-hmm. And they don't have a stance that's opposing, they just don't have a stance. So that's not important to them. Mm-hmm. Are they gonna? Do you think that they'll pull you away from what you believe? Like there are some people that say, actually, I want my woman in church. I want my man in church. I just don't want to be there with them.
But I've seen them want their woman in church, so it could give them the room to do what they were still doing. If I let her go to church, she's not gonna bother me when I'm in the bar with my guys on the night she in church.
Well, I think that is kind of more of a senior thought process, like a guy who's kind of already caught up in his thing. I'm thinking, and I know exactly.
Yeah, we talking about how to get there.
Yeah. So my point is, I think to that question, I would say that there are men who want their woman in church because they believe that she will be honest, she will be loyal, right? She'll be godly. Like, like the old saying was, man, get yourself a church girl, right? Because the idea that church girls back then
get a refund.
Church girls back then were church girls, right? But now, you got all kinds of stuff happening in church, Doc.
You notice that when Beyonce got a song called Church Girls, the game done changed.
The game has changed completely.
But I understand that. Now let me tell you why I thought that was the whole thing of being unequally yoked. Now, I had a mentor who I believe she's still teaching me that we haven't talked in years, but no, we talked the other day. I went to see her, but she was my mentor, and she actually she has a doctorate. She's a profound gift in the body of Christ. Great woman of God. Husband is not saved. Been married for probably 30, 40 years now. Great marriage. Don't want nothing to do to church, ain't in church, but he support her though. Like she got stuff going on, he'll help and but he don't want no parts of it. And it worked.
I've seen that too.
And she said, and what I loved about her is that she said, I may be the pastor here, but when I'm home, I'm the wife. I'm submitted to him, right? I know the roles, I know who he is. And she said it works. Right? It works because I understand who I am. So when I say that the unequally yoked thing we talked about a few minutes ago, I know I've seen it work and it can work. But I particularly know that, you know what? I'd rather not touch that.
Right.
And that's just the Kali Christian.
Because it's unequally yoked by whose standard?
Well, I'm not gonna do that with you. So, anyways, I'm not gonna do that with you. All right.
Come on now. Come on.
We're not.
You took off the glove.
No, we're not, because I think we can go down a rabbit hole. But equally yoked it's pretty simple. The definition is pretty straightforward, right? Is that we don't have the same beliefs, like we don't have the same mindset, like we're not connected. And we got the theologian here, so he can help. But it's that we're not equally in our thought process. We're not tied together, going the same direction. Like the yoking is a yoking of oxen, going in the same direction, right?
Like yoking an ox to a dog. It ain't gonna get it.
One of the scriptures we use often is, how can two walk together except
they be agreed?
They both can walk, but they're not going in the same direction. So you going left, I'm going right. We're not walking together.
And although that is extremely important, I don't want to. I think because we're talking about dating, I think that's extremely important. And let me tell you something else too. I heard this somewhere. I don't know. I didn't vet it, so I'm just going on what I heard someone say on the internet. They said that after the election,
a lot of couples got divorced.
A lot of Black and white couples got divorced.
Yeah, interracial couples got divorced.
It was a lot. Like a huge number of these interracial marriages just fell apart. And I think to the point that somebody made about politics, right? They were like, we should be on the same page with our politics, with our spirituality, and with politics. And I don't know. Yeah, we're going to deal with that. I don't know how politics is important, but I don't know just how. We're not going to deal with it. Let's talk about this question here.
But I don't think that's totally true what she's writing though, because the divorce rate in the world is high as well.
Okay, let's talk about this. Why does it seem like the world's marriage is working out? And she said seems, right?
Seems.
Right? And people in the body of Christ is divorcing without a problem. And the truth of the matter is, well, let's address a question. Why does it appear that way? Right? I think one time I think it deals with proximity, right? Because we're in the church, so we see more divorces in the church than we see in the world.
Right.
If you're in a church, you're gonna, your community is what it is.
You're gonna see the best and worst people in your community.
Dr. Elon is rubbing his hands and legs. We know he got something to say.
No.
And the people in the body of Christ is divorcing without a problem. And I like the way she phrased that, because I think that's important. It seems like they're divorcing without a problem. Like it's okay to just get divorced. It doesn't seem to be any fight to trying to stay married. I think that's what she's saying. It seems like people just boom, boom, and because he's a recent divorcee, let's let him take the wheel.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, everybody. Merry Christmas.
Testify.
So I will say this. I will say this. One, I love the question, because I think that we have a level of accountability, because divorce, marriage is supposed to be a kingdom entity. It's supposed to be kingdom structure. So I think that the body of Christ, we do have a higher level of commitment to marriage, or at least we should. Where I think my separation comes in is, I think that the church prepares people for the grand wedding, but not for the long haul of a marriage. There's normally maybe the pastor and first lady are married, vice versa. Pastor and her husband may be married and they stay together. But we don't talk enough about how difficult it is to exist as two people in one household going through the motions of life. We don't talk about sex enough in the church. We don't talk about cheating enough in the church. We don't talk about temptation for married couples. I know we talk about fornication and all of that. That's great, but there's a lot of rules you can break married that we don't talk about. So I think the reason why divorce is so high in the church is, one, we have immature people getting married. That's the first thing. We have people who are either too young or too young-minded to get married. So I agree with Apostle in terms of there's some folks I would never marry because in my eyes, you're a child, and I'm not going to do that to a child. When I just told my professor, as I was having my exit interview with her, that I was recently divorced, and she said, "Oh my God, why did they allow you to get married so young?" And I couldn't answer her. I was 20, maybe 21, maybe. And I'm not saying that my church did anything wrong, because I was a grown man that wanted to do something with my life. They gave me their counsel. I did what I wanted to do with my life. But her point was, Elian, you were too young. You didn't know life. You didn't know what you wanted, etc. So that's one reason. The other reason is, outside of being too young, we have spiritualized marriage to where it's no longer any earthly good. It is a kingdom entity. It absolutely is. But the reason why your husband is coming home late is not because of the devil. It's because of your mouth. The reason why your husband have wandering eyes, it is not always just because it's not the devil. Ask yourself, where did you did all of this to get this man? You kept your hair done, your nails done, you was in the gym all the time, and now you're not the person that he married. You're not what he's attracted to anymore, vice versa. And so we want to cast out 50 demons before we actually deal with self-accountability. The reason why she don't trust you is because you're a liar, you're a cheater. Like, so you do you get what I'm saying? I hope I'm making sense.
Yeah. You know, you're on it. You're dead on it.
And so I think we have kids. We've over spiritualized it. And the last one, for real, I honestly think for marriages to work in today's society, everybody got to throw away their social media. Everybody, just throw it out. Wow. You don't need one. You don't need one. It's not realistic. It's not real. It's scary how easy it is to cheat with someone sitting in the same room as them, and you're literally planning your night plans on that cell phone.
Absolutely,
it's too easy. Those are my reasons, and I must say this, y'all gonna rebuke me good, and it's okay. I'm a proud advocate. I'm a proud advocate for divorce when it's not right. The scripture says, who Christ has put together, let no man put asunder. There's a lot of folks together. I don't know if we could say Christ was really consented to that. I think we had a wedding and told Jesus to be there. Like, we gave him an invite, but we didn't ask him no other questions about that.
Well, he had a problem with somebody's wedding. He was like, "Woman, what does this have to do with me? Why are you bothering me about this wine?"
The wedding
this wine, right? I think some of us got drunk and made them.
Apostle is the legalistic one. So he may have a problem with what you just said.
No, but
I've been saying that for years.
No, let's address it. I think now my take on, and I know we kind of going all the way to divorce, but I think he has to start with that. I think we have to start with, but I think we have to kind of include this in our discussion, right? Because although I hate divorce, and let me be clear about that, I hate divorce because of what it does, right? Because the divorce is so painful, man. It tears so much up, and so that's why I'm more focused on doing it, starting out right. Because
that's why we're after dating.
Yeah, we got to start after dating, because divorce, man, it's just so painful, right?
Yes,
it is so,
and there's so many other factors.
But I do believe it's necessary. I do believe at times.
There are times when it's necessary.
Really
yeah.
I have counseled a couple years ago, and I said, y'all need to get divorced. They're like, what? You're not going to make it. I mean, the stuff that they were doing to each other.
Mhm.
I said, if y'all don't get divorced, y'all going to kill each other.
You're going to kill each other.
My number one mentor told me this, and I hate to say this public, I do, but I don't, I don't, or I wouldn't have said it. But my number one mentor told me, you can stay, but your marriage is over. And what do you do with that?
Bro,
you can stay.
Wow.
You can stay. You can work it out for 20 years, 30 years. But the things that it take to make a marriage, once those lines have been so blurred that there's no trust, and where there is no trust, there is no respect. Where there is no respect, that you can't build. You got these thoughts, and you hear a song, it come, and you watch a movie, it come. At that point, the best thing to do is separate, and then it gets so toxic for some couples. Y'all see the stuff with DDG and Halle, and this stuff is real. And I'm not saying anyone's lying. I'm not saying that at all. But I will say this: if a woman says it in the eyes of the justice court, it happened. And so sometimes it's easier for a man to walk away and listen, baby, I did the best I could. I loved you till I couldn't love you no more. I still love you, but I can't love you like this. Divorce does feel like death. It was one of the most painful experiences I have ever went through. But when I tell you, the other side of divorce is peace. Whether you're single or not, whether you have the full rights of custody to your children or not, work those things out in court. But if it gets that bad to where that's what you have to do, understand that. And there's some scripture Jesus says now, for if you want to go around fornicating and adultering, I do condone divorce. Jesus said that. So there are some lines where it's a little blurry. So I just want to be very careful with my language here. When I say I am a proud advocate for divorce, I am saying when your mental health is so bad that you don't want to come home, or you're being beaten, or you're being disrespected, and you're a public person, and the whole world know what's going on in your household, and it's that bad, absolutely you can struggle by yourself.
But I'm wondering why. I guess for me, what's confusing to me is, why would that be a hard statement to say? Doesn't that go without saying? I mean, that just seems obvious to me.
It don't. You'd be surprised how many young girls have stayed in abusive relationships because their parents
in the church. We talking in the church.
Yeah, because their parents were pastors. They never said nothing. And when they did say something, they were told to keep on praying. God's gonna save him.
That's true.
How many people? I can go legally and tell you cases where men have molested children in the household, and the wives were told to keep praying for him. God would save him. Left them kids in the house. Yeah. There are times it is best, and I think this is where we need to uncover, because common sense. I mean, no disrespect. Common sense ain't common. Everybody don't got it. And so when you spiritualize, you say, well, this is the will of God. I don't believe God's will is that anybody be abused to that level. I don't believe that God's will.
But I think that's common sense to me. But
see, that's the thing, Bishop. But see, Bishop, you gotta remember, like a lot of people in our community, it's a cult.
It is.
Like there's a lot of cults. There's a lot, and a lot of our organizations are cultish.
Right? But I've been saying that for years as well.
And abuse becomes this whole idea of sustaining and enduring, right? And like, I endured the devil. Wait, stop. What are you talking about? And that's when you say, to where it becomes common to you, but other people take pride in this. This is like a badge of honor. And they go through marriage all these years, and they've been abused, and they went through all his drunken years and all this other stuff, and now all of a sudden he's a good man. He's tired. He's wore you out all these years.
I'm amazed, because I'm a common sense guy. Nothing frustrates me more than people that don't have a level of common sense. Like, so that balance between theology and common sense is something that I've always struggled with, because some of the things the church has taught people, like you said, suffering as a badge of honor, that's concerning to me.
Mhm.
And it's disturbing, and it's very traumatic. It's very traumatic. We have created a trauma-based environment then, and that's concerning to me.
But
But-
we
that-
didn't
that-
create
that-
it though. We didn't create it though.
That,
We got
that you
from
even
the-
have
we got
to
that from the
issue
plantation.
disclaimers that you have from the plantation, right? If we want to go back to that discussion, that's different. But that we even have to issue disclaimers at this stage of the game, at this stage of our religion and relationships, that abuse and certain things don't have to be tolerated, is concerning to me. That's very concerning to me, that there has to be disclaimers on what you said, that this may alienate me. Come on, that's crazy to me.
So
That is
so
that's crazy to me.
and I agree, and I think one of the things that we're trying to, I saw something here. Let me get back to, this is the comment that Kimberly Marie put up. It's and it's a good point. I was one of them. My mother told me to pray and read Jeremiah. Is there anything too hard for God? That was, I guess you're saying, that was my mother's advice, and I think that's a lot of people's advice. That was what people believed back then. I think we're living in a different day. Go ahead. I think we're living in a different time, right? Where people are not putting up with certain things anymore. And I think we've already to the other side of the pendulum.
Right.
Like now, any little thing we getting divorced over.
So,
Right.
so this is important. So the first thing I'm gonna say is, forgive me, but it is there. It is there. There really isn't anything that's too hard for God. There
Sure, yeah.
isn't.
Mhm.
However, there are some people who have set there in their mind they're not going to change. And so God works with those who really come to the point of repentance, right? There's no transformation that can happen with a person that doesn't want to be changed. And so when we get to that part where okay, what do you do? And I'll never forget, I was in church and I had actually sung the song, and the Spirit just moved on me this day. What do you do when you've done all you can?
Mhm.
And it got to the Donnie McClurkin says, you prayed and you cried, you prayed and you cried, you prayed and you. When you get to the part that you've literally done everything you can do, you tried counseling, you tried family, you've done everything you can do, and that person still wants you. And to be honest with you, I think once they put their hands on you one time, you ain't got to do nothing else. That's
It's nothing to pray about.
You work that out if you want to. But
And I'm sure there are outliers with people that have survived that and wear that badge of honor, as Apostle said.
some things
But
I don't think we're supposed to survive.
That's what I'm saying. Some of this is really alien to how I think. It's alien to how I teach. Even if going to seminary, listen, I don't agree with everything I learned in seminary, but you got to answer the questions properly to get your grade right. You know what I'm saying? Some of this thinking is very archaic to me. It's very dangerous to me. It's very traumatic to a certain segment of people that attend our church, especially single women. It's concerning. It's just concerning to me that we got to issue disclaimers. You know, if you get,
You have a daughter?
I absolutely have a daughter, and I would hurt any nigga that tried to mistreat her.
That's what I'm talking about. That it get
Well,
real.
And we just had this conversation last week. She was riding in my car, and I was saying some things, and now she's 30 years old. She got a master's degree. She's teaching. I was saying some things to her, and she looked at me in disgust and said, "Dad, you think I don't know that?" We were talking about some things concerning men, and she was like, "You think I don't know that?" And I said to her, "I'm just making sure. I'm reinforcing because I don't want to go to jail. Because I promise you, it's going to be very problematic
That's true.
Can,
Go ahead,
can
go
my,
ahead.
su- can my suggestion be? I think that the start of solving this problem is we need less pastors and more mothers and fathers. And by mothers, I think sometimes when we say, "Well, my mother told me," yeah, but mother was a church mother. She was an evangelist. She was a prophetess, and so she spoke church language. And I really think to solve a lot of this is we just need moms and dads to be moms and dads and say and see not just the soul but see your baby, see them hurting, see them crying, see them trying to figure life out and not knowing what to do, and sometimes it is appropriate to say, baby, you can stay and work this out. You can say it's your choice, but listen, okay, he made a mistake, he cheated, vice versa. You if that's what you want to do, you can stay and work this out. But
can't we discern that? Can't we discern that?
Well, let's. I like this because I think
Come on, man. Come on, man.
I think there's some situations. Okay, if you're mad because he left his socks on the floor, we can work that out, right?
Right.
If you're upset because she burned the chicken, come on, man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because I think that becomes, you have to be clear about that, because there are some people who are just separating for anything, right? Because they just don't have the tolerance, they don't have the time, not the patience, whatever it is, or they just immature, right? Spoiled brats. And I believe when we say that we need more fathers and mothers to look at their children. But I think one of the things, the problem with that is, Dr. Elion, is that a lot of people that we looking to do that are also in that same crazy mindset, right? Because they'll blame you for leaving a bad situation. And let me tell you something, there's more grace for a woman walking out on a man than for a man walking out on a woman in the church.
Well, most women file for divorce anyway.
Yeah. That's again, because they have a whole support system.
Yeah, because the church is predominantly female, so it's created that, and they're always the victim. No, they can have you chained up in the Brooklyn basement, and the church will justify why she did that to her man.
Yeah, it becomes what did you, when she leaves what did he do to her, right?
Exactly.
And when you leave her, it's like, why did she kick you out, right? It's like,
and that's why I think things go back. I think things go back to the dating process that can alleviate a lot of the problems down the road. But if you make the proper choices and allow and be really, really considerate about who you're going to allow to enter your world and be a part of your relationship spectrum. We have deviated into divorce and issues that go wrong in relationships.
That's necessary, though.
Right, but what I'm saying is a bigger factor needs to be pre all this stuff.
Well, it does, but this is why I'm saying it's necessary. So, Bishop, in a church like yours, I can see people not falling into the pit hole, right? But, and I'm not down on my church. If you know me, I ride hard for the outreach. I don't play when it comes to my church. But in a church like mine, where when I got married, dating wasn't really discussed. Actually, if you were dating, folks just assumed you were sleeping with each other. They might have been right sometime, but they just assumed if you were dating.
They right a lot of the time. Let's be honest.
I'm just saying, everybody wasn't wrong, but
they sex it in the pews. Come on.
What I'm saying is
that's why we got to talk about it.
What I'm saying is that for a person like me who was married young and married wrong, chose wrong, divorce helped me see a lot of things that I did not see before. It had nobody to really talk this out through. And so while it sucks to have had such an experience to know what to do, now there are flags I see from the first conversation that you one of them. I'm good.
Right.
Now, the reason why
you won't ignore it this time, will you?
Right.
The reason why I think it's important, and I saw the conversation going into the whole marriage thing, but I think the reason why that was necessary, because I don't think it's talked about enough, that all the pitfalls that are happening if you don't do this right.
Right.
That's
right?
exactly.
Because I think that's part of this. Like, you don't know what you don't know. And
Right.
if someone had told you what you, because no one, I mean, I don't know, you guys might have a different testimony. No one set me down and said, this is what looks like it's going to happen. I'm listening to you, I'm counseling you, and you two right here are headed for a wall because you're starting off wrong. And let me tell you what that looks like. You're not going to like each other. You're not going to almost hate each other. You're not going to want to come home. One of you might fall into some kind of infidelity, right? Somebody might end up drunk or other things, all kinds of things. Like we don't know. No one sees that, right? Because we're so happy, we're so glassy-eyed, we're so excited. But no one is telling us the truth. And I think it goes back to what we were saying about the church. We do not prepare people for dating. We do not tell people how for marriage.
We do not.
We don't spend the time working that out, because what we want is to make sure that in our church, we don't have scandals. In our church, we don't have these unwed babies popping up. In our church, we don't have STDs running. And the problem is that we have not been willing to have this whole serious conversation about what really happens. Listen, to humans, because a lot of us act like we're superhuman because we have the Spirit, the Holy Spirit, but the Bible says the Spirit is subject to the prophet, and so the Spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak.
There you go.
We only use that for only conversations. The reality is we got to spend a hard time teaching people, first of all, how to date. Teaching them what sex is, what it brings, how it's supposed to be managed, that your hormones are natural. It's not the devil.
Exactly.
You want to have sex, it's not the devil, right? It is.
Exactly. God placed that in us.
That's right.
God taught Adam and Eve how to be intimate.
I hear Pastor saying that we need to teach the saints about sex. I just want to throw this out here. I am an expert at teaching in terms of all of that. So if I need somebody,
look what she said. She survived two broken fingers,
split
head split open. Go ahead. I can't read it, but I need my reading glasses. But I was raised in the church. It took me a long time
to leave, but I finally ended up leaving after 20 years. And my father was a pastor, but I would never tell my parents. I made excuses for him, just being transparent. Woo! This was hard for me to. Wow! And I applaud you.
This is what I'm saying, and this is what I'm saying.
I want to say this. Thank you so much, because I know how it is for those of us in the church to be transparent about our abuses, our traumas, because we feel somehow or another, I think often we think that if we have failed, somehow we didn't believe God. Like we take ownership of the abuse. Well, he hit me because I ain't praying enough. Oh, he ain't doing this. You got to plead the blood. See, that's that foolishness. And let me tell you something about the abuse factor. Now, you guys talk about what you would do. I had a cat put his hand on my daughter, and let me tell you, I found that joker. I whipped his tail.
I know you did.
I found him. I whipped his tail. I got arrested.
I would have bailed you out, my brother.
Listen, I got arrested, and I ain't had no problem with getting arrested. In fact, I was waiting for them to come get me. Right, because I knew that I did it at a hospital. I have no problem with that.
When he pulling out Smith and Wesson, he pulling out his case.
I got two of them, right? So, but my point is this. And I explained to my daughters. All of them know this, and I put this on them. I said, "Hey," and I even said this to my daughter when this whole thing happened. I said, "Hey, let me explain something to you." And I think this is where grown men start talking, right?
Yes,
let me explain this to you. Be careful who you date.
Yes.
I said to her, because if you date someone who has the propensity or the tendency to put his hands on you,
then I'm going to jail.
I'm not going through you.
Yeah, exactly.
This is not me going to tell you, no, that dude can lose his life. Now I know what can happen to me. I can be
Right.
locked up. So when you make this decision, just make the decision that the dude that you want to be with have enough sense to realize, because he don't know what you working with.
Right.
And I said, sweetheart, you don't even know who your father is.
Right.
Right?
Right.
You see me
Right.
as daddy, love, whatever.
And
But there's a
apostle.
dude
There's
that
a whole
you haven't
ninja, there's a
met
whole
yet.
ninja in here.
you haven't met him yet. Right? You may never see him unless you catch me when I'm handling my business. And that's the thing. I think that we have to start instilling in our young girls how valuable they are.
Right.
Exactly.
Because
And they don't
I-
deserve to be treated.
That's right. I think
and
once you establish that in their minds, listen, you are so valuable.
Right.
And I think for those of us, and again, the times that we spend trying to enforce that or to reiterate that or to instill that in them, we got to remember we got a whole church community saying something almost totally opposite.
Totally different. Totally. Man,
you gotta put up with this. You should hang in there. No,
I
listen to
can't
me.
tell you. This
You
is
don't
why the church.
you don't deserve any disrespect, but you gotta be careful, because now you create another monster if you don't balance that out, because then now she could be a hellion.
But Bishop, can I just say one thing?
Yeah.
And we've got to have conversations that don't leave our kids afraid to tell us things.
That's right.
Because she won't say things to you because she's afraid of what you'll do. So she's protecting you. So there's abuse that you might not get to know. And so this is why it's important to have that mom, dad duo and grandma, that somebody, they could get to. Because even at 4 years old, my daughter know. If you tell daddy something, I'm dealing with it that day. The day you come out your mouth, the day I'm dealing with it. Now y'all feel how you want to feel. Ain't too many people that don't know I'm half crazy. But it's important. What happens is, they will try to protect you out of love.
Yeah.
And that means that they may stay in an abusive space until they can't take it no more. So
No, that's not happening.
I understand the be careful who you choose, but also be mindful that a lot of these cats don't show that side until they're too deep in to even see that it's manipulation.
And that's why we have to
Bishop,
teach them how to vet.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And we got to teach them how to vet. And I also believe in this. I've told, like, when my daughters were dating anybody, I've had conversations with the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because again, and I'm very transparent. I'm very upfront. I'm very direct. And I'll tell a guy in a minute. I'm like, listen, man, that woman right, that girl right there you dated, that's my daughter. I would make him understand, if he puts his hand on her and I find out, he already know how I'm coming. Because there's no ambiguity. I'm not threatening you. I'm clear about this.
And I'm not coming by myself.
So if you got a problem, because I've had a point where they'll call, man, leave the house, bro. Because at the end of the day, if you do something, I'm gonna deal with you. You leave the house, bro. It ain't gonna go well. I'm on her side. I don't care what happened. I'm on her side, right? Now,
Exactly. No matter what.
I'm talking about in case of violence. I'm talking about in violence. I'm talking about in violence.
Mm-hmm. I'm here.
Now, but he gotta leave. Listen, bro, leave the house. Because guess what I would do if I was dealing with that woman who's causing craziness in my home.
Mm-hmm.
I'm leaving the house.
There was the time I had to dial 911, had them stay on the phone so I could leave the house. Because I'm telling you, boy, and I'm not going too deep, but I'm just saying, if a woman say something happened, In court, and I say that to protect young men. In court, it happened. You will lose your job. You will lose your freedom. You'll lose your career. And you won't. There are fields you won't be able to get. Don't do whatever.
This is a woman's state.
Don't let that DV get attached to your name. Don't, whatever you do. And you can be one of the most calm people. The court will see you as a common criminal. If a woman, and you know women, some of these girls could start crying at the drop of a dime.
Come on, sir. Come on, sir. They get Oscars, man. They got Oscars. They got Oscars.
Like, wait, call Tyler Perry, get him a job. You know ain't nothing happened to you. But
you ain't never lied.
But this is real. This is real stuff. And again, I'm not speaking ill of anybody. I actually I thank God for every experience that I've had. I really do. I think it brought us to where we are. It brought me to where I am. But having these experiences makes us beneficial to someone else. So I just love that there are elders, and I'm not calling you old at all, but there are elders who see.
Yes, you are. But we are. I'm all right.
I'm okay with being old.
I'm okay with being an elder.
And again, I think this is critical, right? I think we're living in that critical space, and I'm grateful that we are willing to have these conversations, because I want to tell some of you women and men, because again, men are going through a whole lot of hell.
Oh yeah.
That never gets addressed, never gets dealt with. And I think that still has to be, we still have to kind of bring that out, because a lot of men do suffer in silence.
We do.
A lot of men are abused, right?
Yes,
they may not be physically abused, but they're mentally abused. The words that come out of some of these women's mouths on a man, I'm telling you, you are wrecking that dude.
I'm about to cash app you.
and you are playing on the fact that he is a man of God, or that he does love the Lord, and that he is a pastor, and that he won't cross a certain line, right?
Yes.
And so now you are manipulating the situation.
Yes.
Right? And then if he tells anybody, he can't defame you, because who is he going to tell? He might have a couple brothers he could tell here and there, but he can't tell. And then when everything blows up in his face, he got to carry that.
Right.
Come on now.
Right?
Come
he got
on
to
now.
carry that, because he's not going to run around, and men are not going to run around trying to validate their position or qualify why they're going to bear it. They're going to keep it moving. They're going to suffer in silence. They're going to cry in silence, right?
Yes.
They're going to cry at home. They're broken, but they still got to get up. And if he's a pastor, like those of us who are preachers and teachers, we still got to preach and teach.
Got to preach people happy. Got to encourage them
while you are broken
and bleeding.
Got to sing the house down and act like ain't nothing
wrong.
Ain't nothing wrong, and you broken inside, and you hurt, and you got all kinds of darts and arrows in your back.
And let me tell you how toxic it is. And if you, God forbid, you tell somebody you in pain, God forbid you stand in your pulpit talking about I can't take it. No, them jokers will call you weak, lack of faith. Come on, and I'm telling you, that's
why the church. That's why I'm saying I'm shocked that it's not a safe space.
No,
even for us as broken men. It's not a safe space, and that's sad that these many years in, that's the conclusion I have to come to, that for some of us, it had some of the most trauma I've experienced in my life has come from the community of the church.
Yeah.
And that's why my theology had to change, and my position with certain things had to come to the light and shift for me, because we lost a lot of great scholars historically that went to Islam and went to other religions because they couldn't understand the passivity and the trauma and stuff that was connected to being in the church, man. Right. And we got to explore that, because the system has broken us on many levels. It made a lot of us marry wrong.
Yeah.
It made a lot of people stay in situations that they should have gotten out of.
Right.
Yeah.
Because of the environment. And I'm not saying it's all bad. Don't get me wrong.
No.
I love the church. I love God's people. But there's some reality and some humanistic things that we really, I think we're examining them tonight, that had I had this platform and be able to hear this 30 years ago,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have went on some of the destiny detours that I did, but nobody was having these conversations.
Yeah.
Right.
We didn't have 3 different generations and
Yeah.
3 different perspectives to look. My counseling session consisted of, you love her, she love you, go ahead and get married.
Yeah.
That was
And
my
that-
counseling.
Yeah, and that's the problem because now, and you gotta remember now, all that mindset is still very, very prevalent, right? And there's no, like, when we start talking about humanity, which really is what marriage. I mean, I know it's a spiritual act, but it's based on 2 humans
Mhm.
Man,
who have
yeah,
these humanistic issues, and I think that we have to let people know it's okay to be human. One of the things that I stress, and I want to stress tonight, is that when you are planning to date, it's the one time that you have to be selfish.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's that's the stage of the relationship where you have to be clear about what you want, what you listen. Now, granted, and I want to put this caveat in here because I know that it can go too far. You can't expect a guy to be a thug, but also he's saying yes to you everything you say. That guy don't live in the same house. He don't live in that same body, right? You can't expect him to be, there's some things that's not realistic. And you got to be clear about how you are, like what's real, because you gotta be clear about that. You can't be wanting the Superman and then Clark Kent too. Like those guys, they may be the same, but they don't move the same, right?
You can't expect an alpha male
Yeah,
to act like a beta.
So what I want to say, now we're gonna wrap this up because we've been on 2 hours, and I know that.
Oh wow, I didn't realize it's been on.
So what I want to say tonight, and this is the last thing I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna give everybody opportunity, and not to cut it too short, but I think this is a great conversation. How to find a mate? You first have to know you. You have to know what you want and be clear about that. Don't drag no one into any situation or even attempt to drag people if you're not clear about what you want.
Right.
Learn you first. Learn your course.
Right.
Learn your little stuff that you got, the little weird ways that you are. If you got little kinky stuff that you picked up in your little escapades and sescapades, you got to know that. Because again,
Right.
if you got some thing that you like to do, don't spring that on the dude or the woman, right? After you get married, tell them now. Right. I like a pole. I like you to swing from. I like this. I like whips and chains. Tell them now or get delivered. Right. Because if you're not clear about that, then you're gonna be in a marriage that you're not gonna get what you want.
Right.
And then that's gonna open the door to deviate, and that's what that's gonna create. So you must date first. And I like what someone said. I think Kimberly said this. You be friends. Don't put pressure on yourself.
Exactly.
Enjoy the journey, right?
Exactly.
Like, spend time with each other. Listen to each other. Listen to what they're saying. Explore that. So whoa. What?
Right.
And don't be afraid to. She might, they get mad, whatever. Then you get mad. We can't talk. Then it's time to move on. I need to be able to deal with. I need to be able to have someone who could be honest.
And don't be afraid.
That's my base. So Bishop, you go ahead, man.
And don't be afraid to experience them in every season. Don't be afraid to see them angry. Don't be afraid to have disagreement. Don't be afraid of any of those things that you may experience in marriage, to see how you can handle it on this outside level of marriage before you get in. Because if you can't have certain discussions and disagreements now, it's not going to get any easier than you get married. And again, we got to realize we're dealing with things from the humanistic perspective. We can't ignore that, even though we are filled believers. We can't ignore our humanity in the dating process.
Yeah.
We cannot. You just can't ignore, and you can't ignore, as Pastor, you said it clearly. If you like poles, if you like chains, if you like Any things you like and dislike need to come up in the conversation, because it's not if they are going to be a problem, it's when they are going to be a problem.
Yeah.
Going forward.
Yeah. Because I don't think and again I don't mean to take, but I don't think that, and that's why you got to be very careful with this kind of stuff, because we start as Christians, we start trying to make what's right, what we shouldn't like, what we should like, but we all of us was in the world before we came to church, before we got
Come
saved,
on now.
right? I mean,
and some of that stuff is beneficial, so you don't got to lose it all.
You got my shit.
Bring that forward with you, mama.
so
Yes,
so
Lord.
and
Yes,
you
Lord.
gotta know that you should be free to be who you are in this space.
Yes.
Because the world gets to see the bishop, the apostle, the teacher, the theologian, but the woman or the man that you're married to, they need to be who they are.
Right.
And it's got to be a vulnerable, safe place where I can be who I am.
Safe, that's
Flawed,
key word.
broken, twisted, whatever you want to call it. I may have some
Kinky,
ways about me.
kinky, whatever.
Kinky. But I gotta be me, and it's important. Now, maybe some things that I should abstain from, but at least you know I got that proclivity,
Right.
At least you know I have that struggle, and I'm gonna say some, Pastor brother, because go ahead, doctor, go ahead, man, you go ahead.
Y'all got me on live. This is a bad idea. What I'm gonna say.
I'm about to hit leave if we start trouble.
No, I'm gonna behave. What I'll say in terms of dating is just be watchful. I heard someone say date in every season, but pay attention to how they treat their family. Pay attention to how they treat people they think they no longer need. Real talk, Miss Kimberly. Real talk. Pay attention to all of that, because there may come a time where they no longer need you, and you can anticipate how they'll treat you, how they'll disrespect you, and so just be watchful, be watchful, be honest, be transparent, know what you're getting yourself into. If nothing else, watch so that you are aware of what you're getting yourself into. It's your life, you got to live it. You like
That's
it,
right.
I love it.
I love it. There you go.
Like it, I love it, but you gotta like it, and that's the most important thing. Is you gotta like it. You got to be able to live with it, because it's your life.
Tyler, you said something very important about creating that safe space to be you. I think that's huge.
Yeah, because I think everywhere else we have to put on the hats we have to put on.
Always,
right?
Always.
And if you can't have that honest discussion with the person, especially once you get past a certain threshold in that relationship, then you have to, because then you become a pretender, right?
Hypocrite.
And then that weird side, that because she might have been cool with that, or he might have been cool with that in the beginning, because we tend to accept a lot of things in the beginning. But once you start moving into a certain space in a relationship, those acceptance stuff starts shutting down, because now I am invested. Right? I am completely invested, and what you do can impact my entire world. So one of the things I would say to those, again, be very careful when you're dating. Be very selfish when you're dating. And first, spend the time. If you've been hurt, wait. Get that resolved, right? A lot of unresolved issues you bring into another relationship. You got to clean that up.
Right.
And everybody don't do this, don't vet the same, don't have pain. People have different processes, right?
Right.
But go through your process. And I would even say on this last note, get therapy. You come into if you have a long-term relationship, man, sit down with somebody, and I feel fine. Just go through the process.
Right.
Right? Like, you got to go to the doctor. You feel fine. The doctor going to do what he got to do. He just take blood tests, all that, because he's taking you through a process. Just go through the process, talk it out, get some closure, make sure you understand, and then go from there. But I would not start another project or even another opening up that into someone else if I haven't really done the work. Right.
And therapy, Apostle, is not laying before the Lord for 30 days and 30 nights.
No.
Because sometimes you start to confuse his voice with yours.
Yeah.
You need another voice sitting in the chair across from you that really can hear and disseminate and separate the variables of what you're feeling and going through.
I was listening to a bishop who's passed away, and I'm gonna tell you the story he shared with his whole congregation. They were talking about sex and relationships, right? And very profound bishop. He's passed away. I'm not gonna mention his name. I have the actual cassette recording of him saying this, and I never got rid of it. So somebody asked a question, and I think this is where it gets really the rubber meets the road. I'm gonna close out with this. It's probably a little messy, but I want to say it anyway. He said, so somebody asked a question. They was asking questions. They said, Bishop, scholar, seminarian, doctorate guy. He's that guy, right? What if you marry a man? This is how the question went. That he used to be a homosexual, but he now is, married, and he's trying to do this marriage thing. He's getting converted. He's been delivered, right? But what if he starts having these proclivities or these desires to be penetrated, right? This is in a church. I'll tell you guys offline who this bishop is.
I don't even want to know.
I think I know who you're talking about.
The question, like, this is the question, and they said, what would you advise? Because he don't want to go outside the marriage. He's struggling. He's struggling with this thing, and he brings it to his wife because that is where he's safe. What do you suggest that he do? All right.
Mm-hmm.
And brother, let me tell you something. And I'm gonna put this out here before I even finish the point. I totally disagree with what he said. I was gonna make that. I'll make that.
What did he say? He said, strap it on, huh?
I said, wrong answer, Bishop. Wrong answer, Bishop. And so he had no inhibitions about what he said. None. He was like,
what did he say?
Let me tell you what he said. And I quote, I got the tape. He said, I would tell her, girl, slap that thing on and ride him like a pony.
That's what I'm telling. I think I know exactly who you're talking about. I heard that one.
I said, I got the cassette of the guy saying it.
That's how old it is.
I said, Bishop, that's wrong, sir. Now, but let me tell you what I think he was getting at. I think what he was getting at is that should be the one place you can be vulnerable. That should be the one place you can tell your wife that you're struggling in an area. Mm-hmm. That part of it, I think that's what he was really trying to do.
Marriage is honorable and the bed is undefiled.
I think he was really trying to say that you should be able to tell your wife anything, and she should be willing to help you through whatever you're going through, even something that bizarre, right? But again, she married a guy who knew that he was out of that life.
That she married him.
Yeah, she knew that he was coming out of that lifestyle.
I think that may be the only catch is she knew that when she
did know.
Yeah,
she did know, and that was part of like because that was his point, right? That was the point of the questions, that she knew he was in that lifestyle, and he was really working on being who he was, but he had this strong thing going on inside of him, and he couldn't go anywhere. Where's he gonna go with that, right? I mean, that's like, where else do you go with that? Like, because if that is where your safe space is, you follow what I'm saying? If that's where your safe space is, then that's where you're supposed to go. Because I think that because I think at that moment, that's where marriage is, right? Where you got to really be able to be perfectly honest about who you are, whether it's something something happened to you, whether a certain lifestyle you've been in, you got to be perfectly honest about that. I also heard Pastor what's his name? Jesus. Oh, Jesus. It'll come to me. Carpenter. Out in South Carolina. And he tells a story, Ron Carpenter.
Mm-hmm.
He tells a story about he had an addiction to pornography. Right? And he was talking about how when he traveled, he go to a hotel and he got to put the pornography on. He had it in his computer pornography. He was like really and he said what he had to do because it got out of control. His wife caught him, found out it was a big blow up. Now what he does is he actually lets her see his computer. He actually opens up everything to her. He has even if he struggles with it and he's got some tendencies, he's open with her. And that helps keep him, right? But again, I think that's what happens in these relationships, because if you don't have people who are mature enough to handle you,
there you
right,
go,
and be able to deal with your humanity,
there you go,
these appetites that
there you go,
right, developed, then you're not ready for that marriage. You're not ready to take that on, because you got to remember you are taking the person on with all these issues, and that's serious, right? That's serious, and I think that's one of the things that we have to tell people that, listen, consider this when you are considering marriage, consider this when you are dating, and leave space for that person to be perfectly honest and open with you, because if then you start casting judgment and start, I think that's disgusting. Oh, okay.
Nobody want to hear that.
Okay. All right, I got you. All right, I gotta go. I know you guys gotta go. Bishop, Dr. Elion, man, you guys were fantastic tonight, man. Y'all right?
Oh yeah.
Man, I'm good, man. I'm free. Praise the Lord.
All right, fellas. We're gonna have a whole platform. We're gonna come live with some of these comments. God bless you. Have a good night, everybody.
You do the same, my
brother.
brothers.
Next week. Amen. Hey, doctor, you on with us next week? Elion?
Yeah,
Elion? All right, so you come up with the topic. How about that?
Oh, good luck, y'all. All right.
Love it. Take us there.
Send it to me. You tell us what we're gonna talk about next week, man. All right. And we're gonna have a great time. I enjoyed this. I thought it was powerful. If you have any questions, you can inbox us. You can put them out there. Maybe we'll address them next week if there's any questions that we did not answer.
And reach out, brothers, sisters. Y'all suffering out there with this? Mm-hmm. Reach out to any of us and get some personal counseling or whatever.
What I wanted to do tonight, I was going to put the link out to let people know, whoever wanted to join and ask questions on live, then give them a space to drop in. But we kind of ran away with this little long. Next time, maybe we'll be able to do that. All right.
All right.
Have a good night, everybody. Thank you so much. Grown Men and Talking.